Welcome to SoCal Surf with Dan Nappy. The weather's looking better, the surf is looking better, the water's warming up. So today we're going to be at Huntington Beach Pier, north side, about, I'd say waist high to shoulder high. And a little bit on the mushy side, tide was rising. So at 7 o'clock when I got in the water, it was okay. It was pretty good. Still breaking with a lot of force, but they were smaller waves. So I took my 7-footer instead of my 6-footer, which I've been riding quite a bit lately because it's been very inconsistent and big. So I took the 6-footer most of the time until today when I saw it was a lot smaller. So I took the 7-footer out, and it's easier to paddle. It's easier to catch waves, but the downside is it's slower. It doesn't turn as fast. You can't duck dive as deep. There's little things about it that make it different, but I had a good time today. It was perfect as far as the waves were concerned. There wasn't a lot of people out. There were certainly a few, so you did have to pick your waves and not cut anybody off, but that wasn't too hard. So pretty good day. I saw a couple of people I knew, but for the most part I was alone. So I got a good left all right off the bat, and that was about shoulder high. And so I dropped down on the bottom of the wave and did a nice bottom turn. And as I was going back up to the top, I saw Eric in the water, so I cut back and went around him, which worked out perfect. It's like I planned it. And after I got around Eric, I did another bottom turn and then another top turn. And by then, the wave was starting to fizzle out and getting into the dead zone, as we call it. But I rode it a little longer anyway, just to see how far I could take it in. And I took it all the way to the shore break, and then I jumped out because the shore break around here could be very serious. Just the other day, a day I did not do a podcast, it was really big and stormy-like conditions, so I spent a lot of time duck diving and dodging big waves. And when I did finally catch a wave, I ended up getting inside and getting caught up in the shore break, which threw me around quite severely. And that same day, which was about a week ago, I was getting out of the water, trying to avoid getting hammered by the shore break, and it was pretty big. And I saw a gap between the two waves, so I started to make my run for the sand. But unfortunately, I didn't make it, and the wave came behind me, and I tried to hold the board up high above the wave, but it was just too big. And it pulled me, and I let go of the board, and then I was just rolled onto the sand as I was going along, and hoping the board wasn't going to come back and hit me. But luckily it didn't, and by the time I was done rolling, I stood up, and I was in knee-deep water, and I was able to get out of the water. So that shore break took me for a little tumble that last time. So that was a week ago. But today, shore break was not as big. It was still shore break, so you got to be careful. But I managed to time it very well this time and not get hammered by it. But then I paddled back out, moved over towards the pier. I tried to stay by the pier. There was a little bit of a current going north, which is why the water's been warming up. And so I tried to stay by the pier, which wasn't totally difficult. It was fairly easy. I mean, still have to do a lot of paddling, and because I was on my 7-footer, I'm able to paddle a little bit better. So I was trying to stay. I got a good right. There was a guy ahead of me, but I was able to get 2 or 3 turns in. I never caught up to him because the wave had kind of like 2 different breaks going on. So after my 2 turns, I was closed out, so I just jumped out and then went on my way and got a couple more, and then started to get a little bit high tide, so it started to not break so well on the outside. And the waves got fewer and fewer basically out there. And I didn't want to ride the shore break because it was still slamming onto the sand and wasn't in the mood for that. So a lot of waiting time between the waves. But overall, it was pretty good. Now, the wetsuit, I still had my winter wetsuit and a hoodie and booties, but I don't think I need the hoodie or the bootie or the winter suit. I think the summer suit would have been fine. And I could take off the hat and the boots, and I would be fine. So if it holds, the weather holds, and the water stays warm over the next little bit, starts getting closer and closer to June, I think we'll be into the summer summer wetsuit and summer attire, I should say, in the water. So looking good as far as the weather goes, looking good as far as the surf's going. There was a bit of a trouble in Newport. Apparently somebody had a sewer line break and it dumped in several hundred gallons of raw sewage into Newport Beach, and they closed it. And so Newport Beach is now closed for 2 or 3 days. They're going to have to test it each day and see if the bacteria and the poo level has gone down. But for right now, you cannot surf at Newport. That would be a mistake. I mean, you can get pretty sick on that stuff. So Newport's out, so people are moving up to Huntington. And with all the shark talk, it's been a fewer and less crowd. And I don't know how much that's contributed to all the shark talk around, but there's been sightings of 7-8 great whites now, and their theory is they're moving up north because of the warmer water. So if they do, great, appreciate that. Let them get out of here. But for now, you're going to stay in groups of people and not go out on your own, and just hope for the best. I mean, I was talking to a guy today, and he was telling me that how the other girl was that got bit a couple weeks ago. I told her she's doing better. They don't know how much of her leg is going to be able to be used. They're still debating. But I mean, those sharks are just, offshore about 200 yards. They're there. But I said, hey, riding my bike down Main Street is probably, I'm more scared of those cars and stuff than I am in the water. But quite frankly, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, there's always sharks in the water. Just going to have to be careful and be alert. That is all for today. Great day in the surf. The sun is starting to peek out between the clouds, but we had a very thick overcast today. So hopefully it's supposed to get a little better as the weekend shows up. So we'll see what happens. Thanks so much for listening. Check out our sponsors. Who is our sponsors? We have taskbullet.com, nappyclothing.com, Swing Easy Hammocks, and of course mine, WordPress, Dan Nappy, free book. It's getting near the end. Almost got all the chapters up. Probably another week or so. We'll get finished up in the last few chapters and get them posted, and then we'll be done with that book. And we'll see if it has any interest. We'll go ahead and put it in paperback. If not, we'll just let it fade into the darkness. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon. Until then, surf's up. Thanks for listening. Bye.